Hey guys, my name is Gary, grateful recovering alcoholic and drug addict. If you're suffering from drug and alcohol addiction and you don't know how to stop, I can only speak from experience. I can't give you any other options above my knowledge of how to do it. And I did it a certain way, and I can tell you what worked for me. And what worked for me was I had a belief in God. A lot of people don't. And I suggest if you don't, it's still possible to get sober and have a great life. A lot of people's lives are, if you're anything like me, your life is completely fucked up and upside down. People are pissed off. You can't hold down a job. You can't even bear the thought of life unless you're high, and then when you're high, you can't stand yourself because you're high. That's pretty much how my life was, and because I have a belief in God, because I have a belief in a power greater than myself, I prayed to that power for months before it took hold of me. And my story is, I've said it many times, is I was throwing up those prayers whenever I could remember, because my life was such shit. God, please help me, and He struck me sober. I ended up getting COVID, so some people want to call it just a coincidence. That's fine. I got COVID and got 5 days sober and was like, I'm going to run with this 5 days, and I have. And I suggest if you're suffering and you don't believe in God, that's okay. One great way to get sober is get your ass to an NA meeting or an AA meeting, Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous. That's what I did. As soon as I had those 5 days, I was, boom, into meetings, talking to friends. You only have to change one thing in your whole life, and that's everything. I changed me, I changed all my friends. Anybody I drink and use with, they're gone. I have nothing in common with them anymore. And I tied myself into an AA group, and those became my friends. Couldn't stand it at first. I walked into my first AA meeting in Austin, Texas. My first AA meeting was in California, and then I moved to Austin, so I had to get reconnected again. And I was like, I sat in my first meeting, and I was like, fuck these people, man. I have nothing in common with these people. They're all liberal, wearing tie-dye shirts and talking about Joe Biden and how great he was and everything. And none of that shit matters, man. Because what happened was I kept going to those meetings, and little by little, I started having these little interactions with people. And, whether it's 5 minutes, hey, how you doing? And maybe go to coffee, go to another meeting, try a different meeting with someone else, and you got to reach out your hand and say, hey, want to try a different meeting tomorrow? Find somebody that you kind of relate to. And what had happened with me, I was like judging all these people. I was judging my way right out of that meeting, and I lost my son to an accidental fentanyl overdose. I flew to California, identified his body, and got on a plane, came back to Austin, and my ass was in a chair the next day, and I was weeping and saying, my son died, accidental fentanyl overdose. And I looked up, and everybody in the whole room was crying with me. And a lot of people came up to me after the meeting, and a lot of relationships started at that moment. I have a relationship right now with a woman who, her and I are great friends. She is an amazing person, right? She has a huge life, very public life. Call her famous or whatever, but I didn't know who she was, but a lot of other people, do. She has a big social media following and movie stars and all that stuff, and I didn't know who she was, and she came up to me after the meeting, and she said, you know, if you can do this after losing your son, she had 1 or 2 days sober. She goes, I can do this. And she jumped on the beam and started getting sober. And we became great friends. I still talk to her to this day. I'm in a different place now. I'm in Houston, so I'm having to, just like you would have to do, I have to go to new meetings. I have to find new friends, right? I'm in a new place. So I'm practicing what I preach. You know, I don't know any of these people in these new AA meetings I'm attending. So it's getting to know people. Just putting my hand out saying, hey, I'm Gary. Want to go grab coffee or just talk to somebody. I say, hey, how are you doing? You know, maybe I could reach my hand out to somebody new tonight and say, you know, a newcomer, and say, hey, how are you doing, man? Is there anything I can do for you? You know, those are how relationships start. And you start doing that stuff and you're going to get sober. Start taking suggestions about, you know, from people like me with, you know, 15 months sober to people with 20 years sober. How'd you do it? Ask them, how'd you do it? How do I do this? How am I going to go the next 24 hours without taking a drink or doing some fentanyl? Or, you know, I feel like shit right now. I've got fever. You know, I'm hurting. How do I get through the next day? You know, and they will tell you the solution. There's a solution to every problem that you have right now. Every single problem that you have, there's a solution to. I promise you. And you will get that help if you go into a meeting and raise your hand and say, I'm new, I need some help. My life is fucked. It's a great place, man. So, I was going to make a quick video, 6 minutes, 59 seconds. Have a good day, you guys.